Hello and welcome to the Counselors Corner podcast, brought to you by the award-winning Golden Eagle Broadcast Network and produced by Marcus Key. You all know what we're going to talk about today because all of you recognize the person sitting next to me, but let me tell you something really quickly. Whether you love to read or you don't like to read, this episode is for you because we're going to talk about reading through the lens of people like me who love to read, and if you don't love to read or if reading's hard for you. We're also going to talk about the skills that you need to be successful in high school. We're going to talk about technology. And of course, we're going to get to know our special guest. So let me introduce our guest first. Our guest is a teacher, librarian, media consultant. She is a lover of public education and St. Vrain Valley schools. She completed her K-12 schooling in St. Vrain Valley before moving to California to attend college. She taught in San Diego and in Germany before coming back to St. Vrain Valley School District as a teacher in 2018. Welcome, Rebecca Reid.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm honored to be in the Counselors Corner.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So our first question for our guests, as high school counselors, we always want to know about like post-secondary planning. So did you always know you wanted to work in education? Like, how did you find yourself here?
All right. So I will say I've always had a love of books and education. I used to pretend I was a teacher, and I would teach to my stuffed animals and to my siblings when they would put up with it.
I was going to say when they let you.
Yes. And then I also did have a library that I ran in my house as well. So I grew up with real brothers, so they were not always willing to visit my library.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah, I know. But my parents were frequent patrons of my library. So I would have a little stamp in the front and the little, paper that says when it was due, and I would check it out to my brothers or cousins, aunts, uncles, anybody that would visit my library. So in some ways I feel like I sort of knew I would end up in the library role.
Yeah.
But I wasn't positive when I went to college that was specifically what I was going to do. I applied for business school and also education programs.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, I was interested in math as well. So I was considering accounting or teaching. And that's kind of what I went into college with. But then I ended up going the route of education once I got to school, met with people in the business program, met with education people, and just decided I wanted to stick with education.
That's really similar to Josiah's journey as well.
Yeah?
We all, from one of our earlier episodes, we talked about how we all have different backgrounds and master's degree, and we all sort of ended up here. So it's always fun to kind of talk with different people about how they got here. I didn't know that you taught in Germany. Yeah. What are some of the biggest differences in education that you see having taught in both places?
So having taught in Germany was a little bit different. I was teaching at an international school. So that was K through 12. It was an IB school, so similar to the IB program that we have at NIWAT, for example.
Okay.
And some of our elementary schools in St. Vrain have the IB program, the primary years program, and then the middle years program. So it's a certain curriculum, the International Baccalaureate program.
Yeah.
And so that's where I was teaching at that setting, which was incredible. It was working with staff members from all over the world. My students were from all over the world. It was great for me because I taught in English and I didn't know German very well.
Yeah.
And the students were required to speak English because it was the international school. But the classes were small. I had maybe 15 to 20 students in each class. And so that was a really wonderful experience. And then having lived in Germany, I did learn about their public schools a little bit, but they're similar in that they have the primary, kind of elementary school and then secondary school. But something that was very different about the public schools in Germany is at 5th grade, they start tracking students, so to speak. And so there are different pathways once you hit 5th grade that you decide if you want to go on to be more in a vocational school or if you want to be, in an apprentice of some industry, or what we would consider more traditional secondary school like we have here, then that's also a pathway. But some of those options So at 5th grade, you sort of make your decision, and then there is the option to go among those different tracks.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. If you kind of change your mind,
right?
Sorry,
you can.
Marcus.
You could change your mind, so to speak, but I don't know that it was always the easiest to do.
Yeah.
And I think it was mainly based off of teacher recommendations, and then parents could advocate for something specific if they wanted. But those students that knew they wanted to go into college, they would go into the program at Gymnasium, which is like the typical high school.
Yeah.
But then they have these other ones, and I can't remember all the named, Hauptschule or Gemeinschule. I don't know, they had like 4 different tracks.
Cool.
And so sometimes they were all housed in the same building, so you could easily move within them. But then that gave students opportunities. Some would finish the content learning at 10th grade and then go in to be an apprentice.
Interesting.
Yeah, or join the vocational program or start working in, automotive immediately.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's turn to reading. So you and I both love to read, and we could probably talk about reading for hours and hours. I probably could have a podcast just about reading and the books that I'm reading because I love it so much. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure you encounter students daily who come into the library because their English teacher is saying you need a book. How do you talk to those students about reading? How do you recommend it to them? Why is it important? How do you help encourage them? Knowing that they might not like it, it might be hard for them.
Yeah, that's great questions. I realize not everybody loves reading, and that's understandable. And so I do try to approach it from a way of just asking what are they interested in, mm-hmm. Because there are books about everything. I mean, any random interest that someone has, there is a book about it, most mm-hmm. likely. But so trying to get them to think about maybe what was the last TV show that they liked, or is there a fun fact that they mm-hmm. enjoy, or are they interested in cars or a sport or music? And then if they are reluctant readers in the sense of they say they just don't read, mm-hmm. then I try to, unpack that a little bit of why aren't you reading? Is it, you don't have time, or you find it really difficult, mm-hmm. and kind of look at it from those different perspectives to really see where they are as a reader. And so ideally try to help them find something that resonates with them, some sort mm-hmm. of interest that we can get a book, and then just start small. Like, okay. If you say you don't have any time, let's try to just pack in maybe 2 minutes while you're waiting for your ride to pick up from school. Mm-hmm. Or if you don't watch that TikTok video 3 different times, maybe only watch the TikTok video once, and then try reading for a little bit. Mm-hmm. And just really try to find what is of interest to them, and make them realize that you are able to read, and it's a belief that you can read. Yeah. And we'll find something, hopefully, that works for you.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great philosophy.
Yeah.
You've been presenting to the staff about all this different research on the importance of reading. And obviously you're presenting to us as educators. What would you want the students to know about the importance of reading?
Yeah. So I think something that really stands out to me is the importance of reading in the sense that it opens so many opportunities for humans, or you as a person. Just the act of reading is an incredible exercise for your brain. And just like you need to exercise your muscles for mm-hmm. Athletics, or you practice that instrument over and over again, or you run those specific drills to build up those skills in other aspects of your life, reading is the same, and it's incredible what it does for your brain. It activates the 4 lobes of the cortex of your brain when you're immersed in a physical book reading, and then it actually creates new pathways, and so you're constantly expanding your mind, literally, mm-hmm. with making those new neural connections. So I strongly believe that for students to reach their fullest potential, this is a great way to grow themselves and mm-hmm. be able to participate in anything they want after high school. Mm-hmm. And if they are presented with a ballot for voting, they'll feel comfortable reading through and being able to analyze and see what am I voting for, and kind of looking at that, or trying to rent their first apartment, filling out that lease. I mean, that's a lot of paperwork that once you reach that adult life, you'll be presented with, and feeling confident and comfortable in their ability to read will just benefit them outside of just purely academics.
Yeah.
It's just a life skill. Oh.
That was startling. Okay, we had a brief interlude, I guess we did. Halftime.
Halftime.
Wait, we had halftime.
We had halftime.
Let's keep up the sports reporting going.
Yes.
We had welcome back from halftime. Reading can be a sport too. And look who I brought back with us, Mr.
How we
Hall.
doing?
Perfect timing, because we talked about in the very beginning of this episode, Josiah, Rebecca, and I love reading. We could talk about it all day. It's not your favorite pastime.
Yeah, not at all.
Which is okay.
Thank
It's
you.
okay.
Thank you. Yep. No
And
shame
Rebecca
here.
was diving into the research on the benefits of reading and what she wants students to know. So you talked about how it activates your entire brain when you read. It creates new neural pathways when you read. So what else? We're all back in business.
Right. Yes.
What else do you want students to know about the benefits of reading?
Yes. So in addition to those, then also with that, as you are activating all those different parts of your brain, it also can help you mentally. So it does help with mental stability, and students have self-reported that those students that read regularly have higher levels of being proud of themselves, feeling excited, and then also those frequent readers report less times feeling really sad or depressed or lonely. And so it is also not only just academically helping students, but it does mentally help them. So it's also a mental health intervention,
Right.
Because students can either find themselves in stories or feel comfort in those stories. Sometimes if they're really struggling with something, a character in a story could help work through that.
And the characters become your friends.
And the characters become your friends. Just the magic of those
Josiah's
books.
like, and I'm like, yes, they are.
I'm the guy that I'm watching the movie. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many people going to me. Have you read the book? Like Harry Potter's a great example. Have you read the book? The books are great. The books are so much better. It's like, nah, I'm a movie guy.
Yeah.
So I'm watching the movie. But one thing that I always think about is just like how it can replace like some of like the scrolling. And I don't know if you guys have talked about this in the first half, but we are so like hooked on the phones and things, and you know, just the kind of like mindless scrolling, and like how healthy it can be. And this is something I know and I still struggle with. How much healthier it can be. Like say you're you know, the last thing you do before you go to bed at night is scroll on TikTok for 10, 15, 20 minutes. 10, 15, 20 minutes turns into an hour and a half, right?
Yeah.
Instead of doing that, like putting the phone down and picking up a good book. I don't know if you guys have talked about that at all, but do you guys look at that as kind of a healthier alternative to the phones?
Right. Yeah. I mean, we didn't talk about that, but that's exactly, I think that plays into that mental health aspect, that reading is the antidote to stress and shutting down the chaos that's around us, or the constant scrolling. And even when you're reading on your device, you're getting constant notifications or interruptions, and so you're really not allowing that immersive experience. And so that's a great strategy to just read offline before bed and help calm your mind.
Yeah, because people talk about the blue light a lot, and how that keeps the brain awake, that you get from the phones and stuff. And just another benefit of opening up a good old-fashioned book. Yeah, for sure.
And I get a ton of books at my local library, so I don't buy them, because I know some kids, you can get books for free on Sora, which is great. It's a fabulous resource. I'm so glad kids have that. And also for trying to, and I think that's great. I'm not trying to take away from that, and I'm not saying kids shouldn't use that resource, but if you can also get a free book through like a physical book for that, like wind down at the end of the day, to kind of stop with the blue light, stop with the scrolling, stop with the notifications.
Definitely.
So what are some of your favorite books as we wrap up reading and pivot to some other topics, because you're an expert on a lot of things? What are some of your favorite books? What are some books that you recommend to our students?
Yes. Well, I feel like my favorite books can change from time to time, but I tend to still always, I love historical fiction. I like that aspect of diving into a specific time period and then hearing stories of people from that time period.
Yeah.
And so that's what a genre that I constantly return to is the historical fictions, like Kristen Hanna's book. The Nightingale is one of my favorite, or The Women. And when I was younger, Ken Follett was a book like Pillars of the Earth. I don't know if you're familiar with that one, but another like historical fiction that I just am drawn to. But then sometimes I also just want like a rom-com, like a light read or an easier, quicker read. And then like our staff book club, I love that we have that, and I have one of those here. We had last month, like None of This Is True, so a thriller, fast-paced, gets you going, keeps you interested, page turner. And so for students, like I kind of talked about in the beginning, I recommend based on what they say they're interested in. But I did pull a couple of books that have been quite popular and that I would recommend.
Ooh,
like
yes.
The Good Girl's Guide to Murder and The Inheritance Game. So people that love solving puzzles and keep you, interested in short chapters, which are quite approachable and hook you quickly. And then these are just random books I found from my own childhood. So a thriller that I really liked. And I used to think I wanted to own horses, so I read a lot of these books. So yeah, it just changes throughout my life of which ones I'm interested in.
Yeah. Josiah, since you love the Harry Potter movies, does it make you, like if you were going to read a book, does it make you more likely to be like, okay, so I'll read Harry Potter because I love the movies, or does it make you less likely because you liked, okay, you're like, I know the ending.
Right, you gotta get a different one.
I don't need to do that.
But I need to read the book.
Okay.
No, just
okay. No, that's it. Because
that's a
that
good
would
question.
help me recommend a book for you. If I was like, no, I wouldn't. If you loved it, I'd say, okay, well, read Harry Potter. It's magical. But if you're like, but I know what happens in the end. It's like, okay, well, I would pivot and pick something else then,
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe because I haven't given it a chance, you know what I mean? So I should probably try it. But definitely like something adjacent, I could see myself like getting drawn to. Like if it's Harry Potter adjacent, like sci-fi, fantasy, like I've always kind of enjoyed like that realm of TV. So I might like the genre. Yeah. So
Or what about like memoirs of athletes, or do you like reading about?
So I do, because like right now, like was telling you guys kind of before the camera was rolling, I'm reading the Wooden on Leadership right now for our school book study. And so, like having like the athletic ties to that, that's always something that I enjoy, you know, and just like how, you can kind of take tidbits of that and apply it as a professional, as an educator, as a dad, as a husband, whatever. So I enjoy that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, for sure.
We've talked a lot about technology, but it's just interesting to me, and I don't know if this is the case for you, so I'd love your input on this as well. Like when I was in school and like, you had to go to the library, like for me it was you get to go. For other kids it might be you had library time, right? That wasn't technology. There was nothing involved in that. And now it's a huge part of your job, right? That's been such a shift. Was that the case for you growing up?
Yeah, so like our library was the only spot in the building that had technology, because we didn't do iPads and things like that. Like kids had phones, like cell phones were really popular, but we use the library as like a technological resource for like writing papers, doing research. Like if we had a project or something you had to do research on, like that was our best option. So you had to like almost like schedule time to go, because you didn't have another way to look stuff up when you're in school. Because we were still like old school, at least it feels like it, like textbooks and everything was turned in on paper and stuff. So so that was probably pretty similar to what you're saying.
Has just as far as your career, has technology always been a part of what you've done, or has that been like a shift as you've gone forward in your career?
So when I started my teaching career, that was in 2009, I actually was at a school in San Diego that had one-to-one, and it was new for the era. So the students there had Chromebooks, and we were just rolling it out, so it was completely new. Even some of the students didn't have the Chromebooks. But so at that point I was teaching and in the classroom and constantly trying to integrate that technology. And we even had little things like clickers. They weren't allowed to have their cell phones, or not many of them had their cell phones, but doing interactive things with the Promethean board. So it's been a part of my career since the beginning, just because I started at a school that had a lot of technology. But then as I shifted to the library role, it worked really well in the sense of it's all about helping curate resources for teachers and utilizing technology in a productive way, and really utilizing what we have for resources, but yet still it's important to read books too.
Yeah.
So I really like the combo now of having it tied in with the library, because technology is a resource and it's a tool that we want students to be using, and just helping them use it wisely is really important, I think.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, we're the go-to spot if there's any iPad issues, and then I think it blends well because we also have the online access to books and then the databases. We don't house as many resource books, like reference books, in the library, just because now we have access to the databases and the online resources.
Okay.
So I think they blend.
That makes total sense, because for me growing up, you'd look it up in the encyclopedia.
Yes. Right, and now.
Well, let's not unpack that any further. Let's put a period on that sentence and just move along.
We do still have some encyclopedias, but you would get a more updated
They're out there.
It's behind glass, and you can't touch them.
Yeah, they're exhibits.
Right.
Okay, Josiah, you ask the next question, so I don't go any deeper on
Well,
that.
I guess it's more of like a follow-up. So you think like the transition in like the content of the library has transitioned more towards like, I don't know, fiction, nonfiction, just like books for enjoyment as opposed to research? Or did I just hear that?
Right. No, I think yes, for the high school setting, just because funding-wise, it's helpful, and also things change so quickly. It's nice to have the nonfiction, sort of that research aspect online, because then we have access to the most up-to-date research that was just published.
Okay.
Whereas it takes time to publish the books and then purchase the books, and then and then they sit on the shelf, and then 2 years later suddenly, oh, now that we've updated that content, and things have changed in the science realm, or we discovered something else. And so then I have focused more on our fiction collection, just the 4 years that I've been here, really trying to find books that students will want to read, or that connects to students, and finding that enjoyment aspect. So we still have a nonfiction section. It's just we have to be conscientious about what we're purchasing, and will it be outdated in 2 years? Is it worth purchasing it, or could we access that content in the database online?
Good deal.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Another thing that you do here at Frederick is you run groups for ninth graders who are kind of struggling academically. What are some of the most important skills for high schoolers, just as far as being successful?
Oh, well, that's, good question. I think a lot of well, not a lot, but sometimes students come into high school and they can be overwhelmed by so many classes and so many students, and just the larger environment and the workload, keeping track of assignments for 8 different classes, 8 different teachers. So I think trying to put in place some structures for keeping track of assignment due dates, and really thinking about what you need to turn in and when is helpful. And also just general time management. So with our groups, we often talk about, okay, you're at school a huge chunk of the day. We realize that. But then what do you do with your time starting at 2:45? And kind of helping students look at, we go through a 24-hour period just as a sample of like, okay, what'd you do last night? And track it. And then it just helps kind of realize some patterns, like, oh, I got stuck on, TikTok reels for 2 hours last night, and that happens. And just kind of acknowledging what you're doing with your time, and like trying to help set maybe some ideas of like, oh, let's set a timer for an hour, and I'm going to scroll on my phone for an hour, and then I'll go eat or take a break, and then I'll set a timer for 30 minutes to work on my homework, and kind of that time management aspect.
Absolutely.
It's easy to get lost in the world of everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
think we're developing a theme. I think that was one of the things
Yes.
that our last guest, Amanda Fitzgerald, brought up as well, was the time management, because she works with the P-Tech, as you know, and those students have a lot of very heavy demands with like college courses and things, and time management is kind of the name of the game. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yep, it's very helpful.
Yeah.
Mr. Hall, any last questions for Mrs. Reid?
That's all I got. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for letting me
No.
pop in halfway
Yes,
through.
thanks for coming in at halftime.
Coming in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I guess what I would say to our students at Frederick is, if you need help finding a book, if you need help with technology, if you need help with time management skills, go see Mrs. Reid in the library.
Yes. Please come up.